Hi everyone, I'm Mike Crowe, and I'm one of the founders of Mitten Getaways Glamping Company. Thanks for tuning in to our podcast, The Mitten Minute, produced by Woodall's Campground Magazine. You'll notice my co-host and better half and wife, Melissa, is not with us again today. Hopefully she'll be back next week. Our show is all about our journey to open a glamping resort here in Eastern Michigan, and we're focusing on three aspects: planning, development, and guest experience. And those aspects may change because, well, this is our first time hosting a podcast. So let's get started. As always, we have to make sure everyone knows what glamping is. Some might say glamping is waking up while you're camping to go to the bathroom and not having to use a lantern to find your way through the woods to that bathroom. But seriously, glamping is luxury camping. And we'll leave it at that for this episode. And for Mitten Getaways, we call our version of glamping Michi-glamping, having a variety of glamping accommodations set up with space between them and available year-round on a secluded resort with plenty to do. That is our brand of glamping that we hope to bring to Michigan. In our last episode, I was by myself talking about the intriguing world of site planning and township approvals. Okay, maybe that wasn't intriguing for everyone. Today we'll recap a busy week last week and focus on some of our efforts to gain exposure. Hopefully that will be a help to our viewers and, to anyone that relies on customers for their business. And hopefully it'll be interesting too to those who don't run a business, as a peek inside to some of our strategies to be successful. I actually had a friend point out to me, I referred to everyone here as viewers, but I had a friend that was listening to our podcast. He thought it was funny that we referred to our audience as viewers. I suppose many of you are listening only to this podcast, so audio only makes sense. But every week, we do sit down in front of a computer and actually record a video podcast. So that was my reason for saying viewers. And then that video recording, the Woodall's producers actually edit it and post the audio version on the various platforms. If you do want the video version, no push to go and watch us by any means, but you can find a link to that in the description of each show on our podcast page of the website. Anyways, that was a big digression. We had a busy week last week, Wednesday especially. If you saw on our social media, we had a number of stops to make. First off, last Wednesday, we got to go to this group called the Eco Group meeting. It's a group of Christian business leaders within our community that get together monthly to find ways to support the community, people in the community, but also each other. It's really, really been helpful. We actually got connected to it through friends of ours that run the Flint Soup organization, a wonderful organization that hosts monthly dinners and gives away micro grants to people who get the most votes when they pitch their business idea at the dinner. We were actually winners last fall, so that's how we got connected into this eco group meeting. From that breakfast meeting, I went on to the wetlands delineation at the property. We've been working with this company called Mark's Wetlands for a number of months on land that we could have and just trying to line things up. And I finally got to meet Brianna, the consultant and owner of the company, on our resort, and she performed the wetlands delineation. We're hoping at a future podcast episode to talk about the results. We don't have them yet, but by all accounts, it was a good delineation. What little I know of delineations. After the wetlands delineation on the property, I went on to meet with our engineer that we selected last week, Boss Engineering. I got to meet with the president of the company, who's been really, really helpful in just kind of talking through the process and our plans and what what things will fit well and how we might have to adjust based on the land itself. But overall, it was a good discussion. We got our marching orders confirmed for our next steps before the engineer can put pen to paper. And that's one, getting that wetlands delineation results back, and two, having perk tests done. So I plan on having perk tests done in the next 1 to 2 weeks, hopefully, provided we can get the sanitarian out there from the county health department and our excavator out there. And then after that, I ran home to pick up Melissa and the girls, and we ran back to the area of the property, a staple of the area, Spicer Orchards, and we met with a reporter from the Livingston County Daily Press and Argus, Jennifer, and we actually had a really good conversation. She has agreed to do a story on us, and that's really a good segue for what I wanted to spend most of today's episode on, something I call pre-marketing. We're obviously not open yet, so all of the marketing we're doing now is pre-marketing. And I wanted to talk about why we're doing that, not being that we don't have a resort yet open, what kind of things we've done to pre-market, and kind of our how or strategy behind it, the ways in which we're pre-marketing this. So first, we can talk about why pre-market a business that's not open. Some of it probably makes sense or is intuitive as to why we might do it, but I'll say it. We want to be primed to have lots of bookings. We want to get our name out there now rather than waiting until we're actually open. So that's part of the strategy behind our social media channels and doing posts and trying to get coverage by various news outlets. We're also doing pre-marketing because one of our strategies is to fundraise through our loyalty program and gift cards and merchandise. Now, being that we're not open yet, and it's not a certainty that we'll be open, I'll reassure everyone who is willing to support us in those ways that we will give refunds on everything if we don't open. Except maybe the clothes. That one we're a little nice with their name on it, but rest assured, those will undoubtedly be worth lots of money someday. Okay, maybe not, but they're really nice, pieces of clothing. We've ordered quite a few ourselves just to try out. Anyways, another reason that we're doing this pre-marketing is to help establish our clout with investors. This was really encouraging when we went to the Eco Fest this day. It was called out that, I should say, we were affirmed in doing that we're not waiting to say, like, if this happens, then we'll get a website going, and then we'll get our social media channels up, and then we'll line up this. We're doing it now to show our seriousness for this business and to have clout with investors. I'm, if it's not obvious, very proud of our website and where we brought it. It's what I say is the most tangible thing people can have for our vision right now until we actually get the resort open. So that's another reason why we're doing this pre-marketing is so that investors can understand our vision. And then last, for what we'll talk about, why doing pre-marketing, it's helping us be prepared for our operations and sales and actually marketing the resort once it's actually open. We're testing things out and using different systems, still learning. I'm definitely not a marketing major, no degree in sales or marketing, but we're testing out the waters and getting prepared so that we can hit the ground running, Lord willing, if we do open this resort. So that's a little bit about the why pre-market. To talk about what we're actually doing in the pre-marketing area, the easy one for anyone would be with a business to start out with social media marketing. That for the most part is free, and it's what it is today. That's where people go and see things. So I think we certainly have to have a social media presence. And last fall, we also started a newsletter, another form of digital marketing, and that's been helpful in just kind of communicating in longer pieces of information what we're doing on the resort. We've accumulated a couple hundred people that are getting that newsletter and hopefully enjoying it. Related to the newsletter, for longer stories, when we launched our website, we also incorporated a blog in there. So kind of an easy way to access those longer stories online and share them across social media. So those are the social media, newsletter, and blog are some easy things, relatively easy things for us to do. And if you're listening to this as an operator, easy things, I think, for you to do for your own business. Now, getting into some of the things we've had to depend on others, one thing I did was reach out to somebody that I had met at the glamping show in Aurora, Colorado last year, Ben Quiggle. He's with Woodall's Campground Magazine, and connected with him, and knowing that he was in the industry for much longer than I've been, knows it better, knows people in it. I asked him for assistance. This is one of the things I would say is something I'd advocate for any business owner or operator, is to reach out to others. You can't do everything on your own. So thankfully, Ben had an idea and got us on the Park Update show that he and Mike Gast host every week. So we got a chance to be on that show and talk about our business. From there, I was reached out to by someone from my alma mater, a professor there, who hosts a podcast on real estate under the brand of Your Financial Pharmacist. For those of you who don't know, I am a pharmacist by training. So I get to go on that show and talk about kind of this, some would view as a real estate type investment with our glamping resort. And then, as I mentioned, Mike Gast, just from being on the Park Update show with him and Ben Quiggle, Mike Gast is a writer for Glamping Business Americas. And I don't remember who had the idea, but through our connection on the Park Update show, we ended up starting a magazine series or an article series on us. And soon we should have the second in that series come out, I believe, in the July issue of the magazine. There's been some other opportunities that we've had to get out into the media. Obviously, this podcast has been a blessing and very helpful. This was also Ben and the Woodall's team's idea to have us tell about our story and especially in glamping. So that again comes from that reaching out and networking with people within the industry. We can't do it by ourselves. We need help from others. Suggest that for anybody operating a business to lean on and reach out to others. And that's how we got the interview with the local newspaper, was by reaching out, and reached out to probably 4 or 5 newspapers in the area to see if anybody was interested in covering our story. On that note, it's probably a good segue into how we're doing this pre-marketing, or some of the rules we try to follow in our pre-marketing. The first one would be cautiously. We've mentioned before that we're not divulging the exact location of the property because we don't want to unnecessarily stir up any concerns until we've had a chance to get ahead of rumors and address exactly what we're doing and help people understand that there's really nothing to be concerned about, in our opinion, as far as us moving into an area nearby. But that's been our strategy lately, ever since one of the properties that kind of blew up on social media when we shared our location and vision. not in enough detail to kind of understand the peace and tranquility that we hope to provide. But we also are doing this pre-marketing, what I would call professionally. We're using professional graphics, trying to keep our posts clean, and once in a while we'll throw in some humor. Two tools that have been really helpful in us doing this are Canva and another one called Zoho Social. Canva has been really good for creating graphics and videos, and it's not that much. It's only $120 a year for a paid subscription to the service. Another one that I don't think many people have heard of is Zoho Social. Zoho, Zoho, actually has a whole suite of business tools from CRMs to bookkeeping, expense management, project management. I use a handful of them. I actually discovered their whole suite of services when I was managing a pharmacy in Flint years ago, and they have a lot of tools and they're very competitive on their pricing. The Zoho Social tool lets me or allows me to sit down once a month and schedule all of my social media posts, or most of them anyways, on multiple platforms. And compared to some of the bigger name ones out there, they're very reasonably priced. So if that's something you're doing with your business, I would recommend looking into Zoho Social. It might be a good alternative to something you're already using for scheduling social media posts. And last on the how is that we are doing this in a branded way, using our logos and colors and fonts consistently. And we'll talk about that later, actually, in another podcast. We came about naming our company and just the branding we procured. So I hope this has been helpful for resort operators and interesting for other viewers or listeners, more likely. That is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you have requests for future episodes, please submit them via mittengetaways.com/reach out or email glampers@mittengetaways.com. The Mitten Minute, our glamping journey, is produced by Woodall's Campground Magazine. You can check out all episodes of the Mitten Minute podcast at mittengetaways.com/minute. Follow our journey in other ways, including our newsletter, by visiting mittengetaways.com/subscribe. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your week.